This story right here is very tricky, and perhaps we are going to need the courts to step in and help us with this. It involves deep fake videos. And I could remember, my time as a principal, it would be crazy in that there were times during the weekend and during the week outside of school hours where students were doing things with their phones that were going to cause a problem that I was eventually going to have to get involved with. And that's not, that's not one of the fun things about being a principal, because you could just be enjoying your day, but you just know somewhere something is happening on one of those phones, on social media or whatever. Something's happening and I'm going to have to respond to it. But this is really troubling because you have a young lady who is accusing a male student of making a deep fake video of her and her friend, and they're doing some inappropriate things in this video. So let's check this out because there's a lot that's going on here.
A Louisiana family plans to file a federal lawsuit against their school district in a case involving a deep fake pornographic image.
So what you saw there on the bus, image on the bus, is you saw the young lady who there was a deep fake made of her. She's confronting the student who she says made the video. And so now their family is suing because you can't hit other students. So she received consequences.
Lawyers say the family's 13-year-old daughter confronted a male classmate who created a deep fake of her and then shared it, and then she got expelled. See,
and again, you can't put your hands on people. You cannot do that. You just can't have that. So that you saw looked like her hand swinging, and I'm sure there were probably more times when she was swinging and did make contact with this student who she's confronting.
CBS News reporter Katie Weiss is live for us in New Orleans. Katie, you talked to the father of that 13-year-old girl. What did he have to say?
I did. He says that she's very upset, understandably, about all of this. She has been out of school, expelled since August, and she won't be allowed to return, has not been allowed to return until just last week. But even now, coming back to school, she's on probation until at least January, which means no school dances, no trying out for school sports or doing any kind of extracurricular or after-school activities. He says his daughter tried to report these pornographic images of both her and her friends earlier in the day before the bus incident took place, but says that the teachers, school staff, ignored her complaints. And then later on the bus, she ended up taking matters into her own hands. And he says, well, he doesn't agree with her behavior of hitting the boy who allegedly made these photos. He understands, and he believes that expulsion was really excessive. He says that his daughter's an outgoing, fun-loving girl, that together, the two of them even do martial arts together. But she's really just been tremendously impacted by this. Take a listen.
Of course, I'm very upset. I mean, it's disturbing. Those pictures are horrible. They're extremely explicit and they look real. You cannot tell the difference.
How has your daughter been holding up over the last couple of months that she's been out of school?
Not that great, honestly. I mean, she's strong and, she's tough, but, mentally it does play on her. She dealt with depression, anxiety. To me, her 8th grade year was pretty much ruined, which is her last year in middle school.
What do you think accountability looks like in this case?
To me, I would like to see, protocol changes. And see some staff and higher up get trained on how to handle this properly.
And now the family is planning to file suit against the school district by as early as late next week. Liz?
And Katie, you spoke to the family's attorneys. What did they say about this?
Sure. Well, of course, also planning a legal strategy for that lawsuit that they plan to file. But the family's attorney also claims in this case that the school staff violated mandatory reporting laws by failing to do anything about the girl's initial complaints over these AI pornographic photos that you heard the father talking about. And that's what really led to this whole incident on the.
So it'll be interesting. So you see now, and I've seen this happen numerous times, the argument is that the school mishandled the situation when it was brought to administration. And so now they're making the case that, had they not mishandled it, then you wouldn't have had the incident on the bus, then you wouldn't have had all of the consequences that the young lady has had to suffer as a result of her actions. And I think the school, I don't know anything about this case. I am going to research this a little bit more. I think the school did all that they could do as it relates to this, because now there are restrictions in terms of how far schools can go to give consequence to students regarding what they do on their phones. And so I'm wondering if they made the report. They said, hey, this happened. We believe it was this student. Possibly there was an investigation to try and see, hey, can we tell who made this or when it was made? Was it made here at school? What do we got? And I imagine that the results of this investigation were inconclusive, and so there was just little that they could do. But I do feel like, and this is me, hindsight 2020, I feel like there should be some just concern or keeping an eye on this bus, because these two ride together. But again, I don't know the full timeline. I'm just speculating that the investigation that the school did was inconclusive, and there was little that they could do, because that does happen. That is the thing for a school to do, to just once they look at the facts, that's where the school lands, that in this situation the law says we can't do anything, or we don't have enough to act in this case. And that is the right thing to do, but it's definitely frustrating for this young lady and her family. Like, they want something to be done.
Bus ride without, taking action. And action, she felt she had to take action herself. And now they're just hoping that this lawsuit could also bring attention to, this issue across the country for other parents and school teachers all over the nation who are also going to be grappling with this as AI becomes more accessible to preteens and teenagers who may not fully understand the severity of their actions. Take a listen.
There's no doubt that this is going to be a growing trend. Because when we live in a world where 13-year-olds can get access to this kind of software and in a heartbeat do this to their peers, and the public needs to be made aware of this, because it's growing and it's going to get worse and worse.
Now, the school district sent us a written statement saying that this was actually handled swiftly and that it's still undergoing an investigation by the local sheriff's office. I should say the boy in that case was charged about a month after the incident took place for 10 counts of distributing pornographic material. Now, the school also says to us, quote, unfortunately.
So that's interesting. The timeline is really interesting. It makes me wonder. I don't know. You can go either way. You could say maybe the investigation was moving, but it was moving too slowly for the family, and so the young lady took action. Or you can make the argument that because this happened, maybe they said, "Ooh, we need to take a second look at this and make sure that we handled it the right way." And boom, here are the charges for this student. But it's really interesting. The student responsible for the deep fake, they've charged the student and they're going after the student. So that's interesting. So now you have the family. They want to restore what was lost for this young lady. Because they feel the school didn't handle it the right way. But you saw in the statement from the school, they said they did handle it the right way. So this is this is an interesting case, and it'll be interesting to see what the courts decide on this in terms of the bounds of the school district.
In this case, there's a tremendous amount of misinformation and omissions of fact that present a one-sided story. The school district went on to say that we have never and will never steer from our mission of ensuring a safe and healthy learning environment for all students.
So we'll keep an eye on this story, and as updates come, I will definitely share them with you. So I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.